friends here and they don't want to find out too late. All that stuff, the communication and logical thinking behind communication will always remain. I mean, I think that's all I've got. So, questions?
In the whole phase of product development, when does the patent protection kick in? How long does it last?
I'm not a patent lawyer. I think it lasts 17 years, and the problem is it kicks in well before you get to the market.
Right.
So you're sort of stuck, because I think the reason is that if you don't declare your, describe your molecule and all that, someone else may get there at the same time, and so you're trying to protect yourself from a competitor. But the trouble is, the clock is still going before you actually get to market, so you can't be earning any revenues on it. And you're 17 years. Typically, I think they have about 10 years left by the time it gets to market. So then, so then you have to play games, and they do, and they're very adept at making. The thing about biotech is because the process of making the product is so complex. There's a lot of patents on that, and it's quite hard for others to defeat them. So they can keep imitation products away for a long, long time.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch. What exactly do you do with
what do I do? Yeah, I just observe and pontificate. I'm a management consultant, and so I have consulted with a number of these firms, mostly actually, with a couple of the others on there and some others that aren't on there, on a variety of things. Some of the most interesting stuff was working with the pipeline guys, the development guys who had something like 12 or 14 different candidate products in development at this client, and working with the team leaders for each of those on how best to strategize around those products. In other words, you've got a molecule, there are competitor molecules that are similar. Is there a way to do something to yours to make it have a unique advantage if it gets to the marketplace? In other words, how do I convince management to keep on investing in this? It looks like it works, but it looks like it's late to market. What do you do? Things like that. So strategy work, and simply getting the scientists to think commercially, because if they don't, the commercial guys will often misread the product and they'll either say it doesn't have any prospects or say it does when it doesn't, this kind of thing. I mean, one thing I did, for instance, the company had fallen in love with a protein that was supposed to combat obesity. They spent a fortune on trials, sort of they bet, not bet the company, but they bet big on this thing. The feedback was, it's, you're getting at best a 5% weight loss for very obese people. It's an uncomfortable product, take lots of injections with injection site reactions, which are fairly typical in biotech. Going to be a very expensive product because you're going to need an awful lot of this stuff, keep on in it. And it's kind of, hey, there's no commercial. This one is not commercially viable. They, even knowing all that, they had a plan. When I sat down in a meeting like this with the team, they had a plan. They were going to spend $100 million in the coming year on additional trials. And I said, you are crazy. I mean, this is just money down the toilet. And I beat them down about $35 million. And mostly they weren't stupid. It was the guy who was chairman had championed buying this intellectual property and putting all this money into developing it. And they were scared to go and say to him, hey, it's not going to. And they could say, well, Big Mac here says that we should say that and that. So I owned my feet that time. $65 million is more than they were paying. So that's the kind of thing that I do, and organizational stuff. So.
What is your background?
So my background, I violate all this too. I mean, I happened upon this industry on a who you know, just the guy who was chairman of the nuclear engineer guy, who was a friend and colleague of the guy that I was working with. So that's a really relationship based. And my background is, well, longer than you've got, but economics and politics at Oxford in England, and then some time in government, the oil industry. Then came over here and did an MBA at Harvard, joined McKinsey and Company, a consulting firm, for several years, and then went into consulting on my own with a short spell as a hospital strategy in between. And so I'm a general management consultant, strategy and organization, and it was really that relationship that got me into management. And there's no question that one would be better at it if one had the stronger bio background. You know, I would tend to rely on that stuff. You'd be better.
I've heard a lot of good things about the Harvard MBA and McKinsey. And I know that a lot of people who get a Harvard MBA consider McKinsey or firms like these. How instrumental were those two experiences in getting you where you are?
Well, they were instrumental. But the question about whether that's the right way to go in a career is a different way. It's a long one. If you want to be deeply involved in something, if you want real expertise, you probably want to stay away from management consulting. And I remember some senior faculty at Harvard warning us of that at the time when we were going through. And to be honest, I was a Brit, and I didn't want to go back to England straight away. About the only employers who would have you were the management consulting firms and the investment banks, because the others, like the joining Procter & Gamble or a big industrial company, it's too much bother with green cards and immigration and stuff. So I sort of went into consulting partly because I think I'm suited to it, because I like different problems and different, and I'm a bit of a dilettante. But honestly, it was partly because I didn't want to go back to the UK straight away. I mean, this was back in 1982. Britain had a pretty grubby few years in the 70s of industrial strife and so on, and on the decline. I was attracted to sticking around for a while in these States and how that worked. So that's how I happened into it. But I'll be honest, I think the guys and gals who stick to one thing and get to know an industry very well, but also, of course, get a network within a company or a large organization or industry. Those are the things that allow you to rise to the top very well. So I think there's a lot to be said for knowing what you're doing, and consultants. I mean, they know functionally how to consult, but they don't know the industry as well. So a lot of the judgments that are so important, they're not consultants. Now, companies put consultants in charge of themselves quite often. I would argue sometimes not the best long-term results. That often the strong company is the company where someone with that passion for the industry has led it. They've got to have great judgment and great business judgment and not be sort of emotionally committed to products that aren't going to work or the business model. Okay, so that a bunch of those consulting skills of looking at things dispassionately, are really important. But if you really know and love the industry, you can lead in a different way and take the company. So the really successful companies who built something tend to be built by people who know what, and consultants don't.
Thank you so very much.
My pleasure.